What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Force here with some more StarCraft 2 commentary. Today we will be taking a look at a game between MF TargA and Grubby. This is going to be a Protoss versus Zerg matchup. Grubby versus TargA here on the map Daybreak. And we're going to start off with some player information beginning down over here in the lower left-hand spawn position with our blue Zerg player MF TargA. TargA took first place at the GESC Melbourne event on July 7th of this year, and then on July 28th he took third place at the World Championship Series Norway Nationals. His opponent over here in the upper right hand spawn position is our red Protoss player Grubby. Grubby took first place at the 2012 World Championship Series Netherlands. This was on May 13th, and then on May 25th he took first place at the Star Wars 7 Western Qualifiers. And that's going to do it for some recent tournament information here for these players. All this information coming over from teamliquid.net. You're going to want to head on over there pretty much for all of your StarCraft 2 needs. That is the place to go. I plug them so much. Not that it's a big deal. I mean, they clearly deserve it. So, all right, Grubby, we'll be going with a Forge Fast Expand, as is indicated here by the pylon placed right out in front of his natural expansion. Now also scouting out with his Probe Scout, moving into the resource line. TargA pulls a few workers off the line to do a bit of damage. TargA now just coming out with his spawning pool. Grubby also says, ouch. He says, man, that really hurt my probe. So yes, spawning pool first here from TargA, which is pretty much expected in this PvZ matchup. Really need to go pool first. Trying to go hatch first is almost suicide with a Forge Fast Expanding Protoss player able to place down cannons there. But I say that every game, so maybe at some point I'll just stop mentioning that. Probably not, though. Grubby continues to dance back and forth now. He will be trying to delay this expansion for as long as possible. Forge now coming through as he does decide to go Forge before Nexus. I wouldn't have been honestly incredibly surprised had he decided to go Nexus first, but with going Forge first here, he does have the opportunity to also do some cannon harass if he deems that necessary. TargA moves down to the third base position. Rather than trying to place this hatch down at the natural and deal with that probe, decides to quickly just take his first expansion down here at the third, and it looks like he will be taking another hatch right over here. Not quite yet, though. Doesn't quite have the resources, as he is coming out with 2 Zerglings plus that queen. This hatch is still going, but Grubby not really doing anything about it. Again, we aren't seeing any harass there from that probe in terms of cannons, and a couple Zerglings now chasing down the probe, going to prevent him from doing much else other than, well, trying to head back home before he dies, which I'm not sure he's going to make it. Zerglings continue to get a few shots off. Looks like this probe is in trouble. Nope. It's going to be very, very close here. Grubby doesn't have anything at home, even if he, I mean, the only thing he had was that cannon there. And as you can see, Zerglings clearly able to take him out before that. So Grubby takes a little bit of a loss here early in the game. That cannon will be working down that supply depot just to get rid of it, because it just wants to look at that. And this, of course, provides him the opportunity to put buildings in this area if he decides that that's what he wants to do. So getting rid of that supply depot, just to be able to do that if it's necessary at any point, is going to be a good idea. Overlord Scout here for TargA was able to spot everything that Grubby was going for. Let's also take a look here at TargA's vision. TargA currently sitting with Bolzdale Naga Towers, also has an Overlord pushing down over here to the lower right of the map, and then one Overlord scouting up here. That is kind of a dangerous spot, though. Would be really concerned about when Stalkers start to come through, that he would be losing that Overlord. So hopefully TargA does manage to pull that out of that position before that can happen here. We do have a Sentry, actually, so Grubby will be coming out instead with Sentry Defense. He's not going to be aggressive at all, not going to push out with any Stalkers or anything like that, at least not initially. Also starting up the level 1 weapon upgrade, as well as, of course, that Warp Gate research, coming out immediately after that Warp Gate finished, after the Cybernex Core finished. Also a forward pylon for Grubby. Interesting. It looks like he'll be planning to come out with another wall right over here, and in the meantime, we'll be defending just with this Sentry. Now, in terms of TargA, he's actually coming out with a pretty early Baneling Nest. Metabolic Boost a little bit over 50% of the way finished, and we got a ton of Zerglings coming out. TargA is going to be aggressive. TargA plans to push out with some Speedling Baneling action here early in the game. We'll see how Grubby's able to defend. Grubby pulls down to the tower, able to force any Zerglings away from that. Looks like both those Zerglings right up here now. This one taking a little bit of damage there from that Sentry. Grubby is coming out with this wall off over here. I wonder how much TargA knows about this. Really not much at all. He didn't know about this pylon. He doesn't know that there's a new wall off coming up here, and he is going to be checking to see if there's a third. Now we got a couple sentries that are scouting out over here, and they're going to spot these banelings coming through, and now all of a sudden Grubby knows what he's up against. Speedlings engaging with those sentries. We should be seeing a force field or two trying to save them. Not enough. And here we go. TargA now pushing forward, and Grubby is in a vulnerable position as he's got Zerglings in between his initial wall at his natural and his new wall pushing towards the center of the map. And look at this. TargA taking a very strong early lead here. Grubby doesn't have any response. He is just going to defense up at this point and hope to survive. He's coming out with 2 more cannons, as well as he has those sentries there to place down some force fields. We're going to have those banelings pushing forward. Zerglings trying to do some damage to that forge. Banelings, oddly enough, spreading out their damage there, just taking out the shields of this cyber core and that gateway. I guess that makes sense, because had he just focused down one building, then he would have dealt with force fields and would have prevented that. But softening these up is going to allow him to continue to push and do a lot of damage here. We got a couple more banelings coming forward. Zerglings doing a bunch of damage at the front lines as well. Banelings still unable to pop, getting close to that forge, and there it goes. Forge is down, and now we've got Zerglings in the main base. Aside from doing some damage here, this is also some great scouting for TargA. He sees all of the production facilities that are coming through. We've got 2 warp gates as well as a robo, and TargA will be aware of all of that, but right now he is just going to continue to try to do some damage. Unfortunately, though, no reinforcements coming out there from TargA, and TargA back at home is transitioning. Look at that. So TargA opens up with some massive damage there in that Speedling Baneling bust, and then transitions now into macro. Coming out with some drones, also coming out with a Roach Warren. Grubby again taking significant damage there. Let's take a look at just how much. First, looking at the number of workers killed, TargA able to kill off 10 probes in that entire engagement. Of course, he did a significant amount of damage in this front wall that got taken out. We'll take a look at those resources lost, and actually look at that. TargA is behind because of all of the units that he threw at this. He is behind in terms of resources lost right now, is how he's behind. Sometimes I'll say a player's behind, and I don't know, so I feel like sometimes some of the viewers, or at least based on the comments I'll see on these videos, don't understand that when I say that, I'm usually just talking about the resources lost, not talking like philosophically or overall speaking in the game. A lot of times when I say that, when I say, yeah, this player's behind, it's in terms of those resources. And that's what we're looking at right now. TargA is behind in terms of those resources lost. But obviously that was a devastating loss to Grubby. He lost a few of those gateways that he had coming through, a bunch of those resources there, of course, and he took that economic loss in the fact that he lost a few of his workers. At the same time, it's important to keep in mind that as a result of TargA pushing out so aggressively, he didn't build quite as many workers, so he also technically took a little bit of an economic hit for using larvae to produce offensive units as opposed to producing workers to have a stronger economy. We got a few Zerglings now moving down and doing a bit of harass here as Grubby attempts to move into his third. Obviously don't expect him to do significant damage, but scouting is the name of the game, and that's what TargA's got now. He's got the intel. He knows that right now Grubby is moving up into a third base, and with that he should know not to really expect too much aggression, but continuous scouting of this third will be a good idea, because it is possible for Grubby to just cancel this and push out off of 2 bases, and that's what you got to be wary of. That's what you got to pay attention to. Lots of macro here for both players. Gonna take another quick look at the vision. Alright, so we got an observer scout over here for Grubby. In terms of what's going on, we have a transition right now into Colossus for Grubby as he's coming out with those Thermal Lance upgrades. Also, of course, we've got the Nexus over here at the third, and another Forge plus a Twilight Council. For TargA, we have got an Infestation Pit coming out, that Roach Speed upgrade as well as the Melee upgrade, both just about to finish, and another Evolution Chamber coming through. Plus, we do have another hatchery here in the middle, which Grubby has scouted out, so Grubby knows about this upcoming expansion. TargA attempts to move in and do a bit of harass there. Looks like that got cut off before it was able to move in too far. And we get a large mass of roaches now moving forward for TargA. TargA breaking down these destructible debris and now pushing forward towards the front wall here of the natural expansion. Grubby's front wall there is just taking a beating so far this game. That cyber core is also, look at that, in the red besides those shields. So that is a prime target for TargA. If he can take that out, obviously it cuts back on a lot of what Grubby can make. We've got some Speedlings trying to sneak their way up there, doing a bit of damage to the Colossus. A few roaches not going to be able to push down into this third, as Grubby does have quite a significant force there. A nice spread for Grubby, though, of his units, being able to defend both positions there. Looks like he's going to converge here somewhere in the middle to try to defend the third and that natural expansion. Lots of Speedlings and Roaches here knocking at the front door for Grubby. Grubby is going to be dealing with a push right now. Continuous upgrades also going through at the same time for TargA, coming out the Vengeful Sacks. So going to be going the speed in carrying capabilities there for those Overlords, which means TargA will be planning on doing some dropping. That'll be very, very interesting to see indeed. We've got the level 2 weapon upgrades coming out here, or is that level... Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, level 2 weapon upgrades coming out here for Grubby. Also coming out that Hallucination and Blink research. More and more Colossus coming through. Continuous upgrades for TargA as well. Level 2 melee attack. And some Infestors coming through. Also a Spire now coming out. And it looks like TargA has decided to push back. Doesn't feel confident in trying to engage either that natural or third right now. And decides to push back and just macro up a bit more. Now again, he's got that speed upgrade finish for the Overlords. That carrying capabilities in those Vengeful Sacks very close to finished as well. So we'll be seeing some dropping from TargA very shortly. And as you can see here, Grubby now plans to move into a fourth. So still not really planning on doing much damage at all. We don't see any drops or anything going on from him. And we do have an Observer that got scouted there. Tries to get taken out, that still manages to live. Grubby pulls away just in time. Lots and lots of Speedlings and Roaches protecting this central vulnerable spot here for TargA. Very, very vulnerable expansion. Very easy for Grubby to push on that. Also a scouting Hallucinated Phoenix, which is interesting because there's an Observer right there, so I don't know why he needed that scouting Phoenix in that position, but nevertheless. A couple of Zealots looking for an expansion over there. They see nothing. They actually would have done a significant amount of damage to a unprotected expansion up there. And now loading up his Banelings and getting ready to drop. Here we go. Speedlings moving forward. Infestors also. We're going to see those Baneling drops right now, and they do amazing. So effective dropping Banelings on a Protoss army like this. Of course, you get to avoid all of those force fields, although there are no sentries to speak of here at the moment. Very, very effective tactic. And we're going to see some more reinforcements of some Speedlings. That's going to force back the rest of Grubby's forces. Also got a few Roaches in production, coming out with a few more Infestors, and now moving up into some Hive Tech, which is actually, look at that right there, down at the natural expansion, instead of there in the main. So Hive Tech coming through, which will allow for continuous upgrades. We get a drop planned for the main of Grubby. Let's see how he can deal with it. TargA might do some good damage here. Drop in the main, forcing all the probes off the line. We're going to see a few Zealots come through to deal with this. There's also a Roach in the mix with some Micro. TargA could do a lot of damage with that. There we go, Micro's them back, but we do have some Stalkers coming through. And look at that, Grubby won't be expanding in the center anytime soon. TargA dominating that position, took out the pylon that was built there. Still, oh no, finally takes care of all these Zerglings. I saw some blue in Grubby's main, and I said, he's still there? It was just these Overlords, one of which was gonna die. Ouch. That was unnecessary for TargA. Unnecessary losses, never like to see those, that's for sure. Let's take another look at the resources lost this game, see where both players are standing. We have got TargA still behind in resources lost, 11,000 to just about 10,000. Well, I guess it's just about 12,000 to just about 10,000. Macro insane here, already coming out with those adrenal glands. Giving that extra boost there for those Zerglings, making them that much more deadly. And Grubby looks to be planning another attack. A couple Zerglings will take out the Zealot as TargA plans to move into this expansion up here. Should be seeing a drone move up there shortly. And in anticipation of that, oh, that was too bad. We saw an Overlord filled with what I believe were Zerglings attempting to move towards his main for a drop. That got sniped out. And Grubby, in anticipation of this expansion, pushes with his forces to delay this as long as possible. And that's tough, you know, because TargA, if he can't expand up here, his next best bet is down here, which he's actually going to be placing one, but this is incredibly vulnerable, so close to Grubby. He can just walk right here from his central expansion right into this and hit it pretty hard. Grubby sneaks forward a little bit here towards TargA's center expansion, but then decides to pull back. We're going to be now moving into, with that hive tech here, moving into some broodlords as the Greater Spire is morphing in. Also getting those corruptors to deal with those colossus, and of course you need those for the broodlords. We had a drone that was trying to get a hatchery up here with the zealot, decides to turn himself into extractor to buy himself some time, and then now canceling that. Here comes that hatch. Grubby placing a pylon down over here. This is going to make for some very good harass of this expansion. Just warp in, 4 zealots, hit that. A lot of damage there. Hallucinated Colossus gets taken out by the corruptors. That allowed Grubby to see, hey, how many corruptors you got? And look at this, Grubby now coming out with a fleet beacon. Uh-oh. We're going to see some mothership action? That is possible. Most certainly is. Charge Zealot upgrade coming through. Level 2 armor upgrades. Let's take a look at those upgrades. We got 1-3 right now. No shields yet, but the level 2 armor is coming through. And then over here for TargA, his ground melee units are 2-2 with 3-3 coming through. 1 ranged upgrade as well. And there it is, warping in a couple of zealots, hitting this expansion. So effective. So much damage. At the same time, pushing now towards the center base. Lots of Funga Gross go down. We got those Broodlords very close to finish. If he can get those in time, he's going to be able to help stave off this attack. Oh gosh, those Broodlords just take forever to come through. That's a problem. Blink Stalker's getting right up under them to do some damage. Still got Zealots over here. That's going to force the cancel, or he's just going to lose that. Reinforcement of 90 Zerglings planned. Couple Funga Gross, and then lifting up his forces into those Overlords. Placing down some more Funga Gross, and the rest of these Zerglings will do the trick. This expansion is a goner. Grubby was able to take that out. And a good defense here by TargA. He took some losses, that's for sure. I don't even know how many Broodlords he has left, if any. It looks like he's got no Broodlords, so Grubby was able to take out all those Broodlords, but you know, TargA was able to defend this base. He didn't lose this hatchery, and that is pretty key there. Take another look at the resources lost. Still TargA slightly behind. Really not that significant at this point in the game, though. Look at that production tab. We do have a mothership in queue right now. Takes a while, but once that comes into play, that might change the tide of things here. Zerglings now moving into this expansion, being put on hold position, so they just engage those workers within melee range. We did have a couple Zerglings sneak in over here. Finally getting taken care of, though. Zealot and a probe will continue to delay this expansion unless TargA deals with it, which he is. Got a few drones moving up here. Zerglings and roaches should go help him out. That'd be nice. There you go. Thanks so much, Swarm. I appreciate your assistance. So now finally we'll be able to place down that hatchery, and keep eyes over here would be a great idea. Maybe even just put an Overlord, have him spread some creep. Just get a little bit of vision over in that spot, see what's going on. Now the mothership is in play right now. And again, things just got a whole lot more interesting. Grubby holds onto that, accumulates some energy, enough for a couple of vortexes, and that makes things a little more difficult for TargA when it comes to engaging. You have to be especially concerned of this right here, the Archons. You know, you throw a few Archons in a vortex like that, where you trap a bunch of Zerg units, and once they pop out, the splash damage is immense, and you can just absolutely decimate an army with that. Also known, of course, as the Archon Toilet. So effective, so deadly. Gotta be careful. Grubby now, with that mothership in play, decides now is the time to engage. He's gonna be making a push again towards the center base here for TargA. We have a couple High Templar moving forward. They get some feedbacks down, taking out 2 Infestors just like that, and then changing into an Archon, although I don't think he's gonna make it. No, he doesn't. Does not make it, and Grubby just decides to push back. He said, yeah, I kill off 2 Infestors, I'll pull back. But he also lost 2 High Templar as well, so I don't know, was that really worth it? Was that really worth it? It's your call. Let me know in the comments below. TargA still with no expansion up here. Does he not know what's going on? I think he was able to place down a hatch, but just didn't do so. A couple of scouting and harass Zerglings moving up. We get a Zealot to protect this expansion, though. Not as easy as a Protoss player sending two units to harass an expansion. I mean, you saw how effective those 2 Zealots have been all game. And TargA, I am baffled that he does not have this expansion up. I don't think he rebuilt it. We saw him pull a bunch of drones over here. We saw him defend against the 2 zealots earlier, and did he just not rebuild his hatch, or did he lose it and I missed it? I know he lost it that once, but did he lose it a second time? I don't know. I don't think I missed anything there, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. We do have shield upgrade level 1 coming out right now for Grubby, also working his way up into a dark shrine. A bit of DT harass late in the game like this can be incredibly effective. Really, really hard. You get so late in the game, you've got so many bases, so much to pay attention to, that dealing with that DT harass can be very, very difficult. Of course, the easy answer to it is to place down a few spines and a spore for detection, and then, bam, you're defended. But look at those infested Terrans coming down to protect those Brewlords as they push forward towards Grubby's forces. And we do have a couple of Zealots now moving up to harass towards that natural expansion of TargA. And there is, oh boy, there it is, guys, the Vortex. We've got a ton of infested Terrans getting placed in there. So many infested Terrans getting placed in there. Let's see what the outcome is. TargA moves a bunch of his forces in. There it is, pops out, and the Archon Toilet destroys the Broodlords. Just beats them bad. There's one Broodlord left, and with enough roaches, continue to push here, and TargA may have figured this thing out. Takes out the mothership, huzzah. Not able to take out this expansion, although he did get a few units down there. Quite possibly did some damage, and now Grubby on the offensive, pushing back TargA's army. We do have a scouting changeling over here, very nice there by TargA. And Grubby still with these zealots here. Look at these pushing zealots to harass that we saw earlier, moving towards the natural right before that engagement. Looks like they didn't do too much damage though, as I saw that one with only 2 kills and the other one had 0, so. Blink Stalker's now moving towards this upper left-hand expansion for TargA, and with those upgrades, able to take out this hatch very quickly. Goodbye. And instead of defending, TargA decides to just move out for a counterattack. He's going to move towards this center expansion here, and he may very well take this out. I don't know that Grubby's going to be able to defend against that. Looks like he won't. He's pushing back with his Blink Stalkers right now, but this expansion is a goner, so they're good for TargA there and being able to respond. And here comes that DT harass. Oh boy, that hurts. We got DT over here, DT over here. This hatch is gone, and this hatch is gone in just a moment. So Grubby loses his center expansion, but responds with some DT harass after that Blink Stalker push towards that upper left, and he's doing a lot of damage right now. Finally have some Overseers through to detect this. We still got the DT over here, taking down that Greater Spire, as well as this spawning pool, and TargA's forces have been pushed back. He was attempting to push towards this lower right-hand expansion, but unable to do so. He decides to pull back to deal with these DT. The DT are tearing through TargA's tech right now. Greater Spire gone, spawning pool gone. And he takes out the, I believe what that was the infestation pit right there, takes that out too. That is really, really rough for TargA. That really puts him back here. We have another mothership in production here as well for Grubby. So after taking out so much of TargA's tech, going to come out with a mothership, make things even more difficult for TargA. He's going to have to deal with that cloak and have Overseers nearby to make sure he can detect that. And he really does need to do some more damage. Again, he was able to take out this expansion, but he lost this expansion. He lost this hatch and this hatch. This one means he's mining less Vespene, plus he lost an infestation pit, Greater Spire, and a spawning pool. TargA's really hurting right now. Brewlord gets caught out of position in the center of the map. Oh boy. A couple of roaches saved the day though. Get some Spielings pushing from the backside, and this force now abandoning this expansion, which he could have just taken out to make sure that he can defend this Brewlord over here, which is gone. Brewlord's gone. So meets up with the rest of his army, now pushing towards this base. We get some DT over here, takes out the Greater Spire. TargA's tech continues to get decimated here by this DT harass. And you know, I mentioned as soon as we saw that Dark Shrine how effective and how devastating late game Dark Templar can be, and you see why. He's lost all but one of his hatcheries and all of his tech, basically. I mean, I don't think, does he have a Roach Warren left? What does he have left? He's about to lose this hatch too. He's got pretty much nothing. Starting from scratch, rebuilding a spawning pool in the center of the map. Holy hell, that hurts. And in the meantime, Grubby sitting over here with a mothership, some stalkers, and a few High Templar. Grubby definitely appears to be in a solid position right now. This expansion, goodbye. Those DT, dem DT, let me tell you. And this one gets away with 15 kills. So devastating. That was just, he got absolutely worked by DT here. So unfortunate for TargA that he wasn't able to defend against that. I mean, he just took such hefty losses. Now, this expansion is gone. See a burrowed Zergling to delay any possible future expansion there. This expansion is gone. Now, this Zergling, I don't believe will stop the placement of a Nexus, but at least it will scout it once it's there. However, the Observer spots that Zergling, takes that out. Not a lot of mining going on for both players. Actually, economically, TargA might have an advantage right now. Let's take a look here at the income. Yes, TargA does have the stronger economy right now, so that is something going in his favor. Grubby remote mining from this center patch over here towards his Nexus in this position. And you're going to ask, why aren't they just placing down more hatcheries? Why aren't there more Nexuses coming out, or Nexi? Because it costs resources, and you know, a lot of times you get in these situations and it's like, do I want to spend my 400 resources on another Nexus, or do I need more units just to survive? And that's really the biggest thing. You're really just concerned about survival. You need to make sure you can survive any push coming. And it looks like we had a bunch of lag there, and Day 9 was one of the commentators of this game originally, apparently, as he is in the observer slot. That is great. Big fan of Day 9. He does a fantastic job with StarCraft. Me, I do what I can. I have fun doing it, really, that's all that matters to me. That's all that matters. Alright, so we do have another hatch coming out in this upper left-hand spawn position. This is going to be a critical point for TargA to try to defend. Bulk of his army sitting over here, of course, to defend his tech. He is coming out with a layer now in this center-based expansion. I guess it's his main now. I mean, I don't even know why I'm calling it an expansion. It is pretty much his main at this point. And finally there, Grubby does decide to come out with another Nexus here in the center of the map. Now, I do want to keep a close eye on both players' vision at this point in the game, because, you know, we still have, this is important to keep in mind too, we still have that Overlord drop tech. The Overlords can still drop. They can still load up, they still have that speed upgrade, even though the layer was taken out, and it is now being rebuilt. Once you get that research, if you lose those buildings, you don't lose that tech. And you're going to say, Force, that's super generic, but sometimes there's new people to StarCraft, and we like to kind of explain stuff to them. Well, that's what I'm doing. Switching now up into a Hydra Den. So we'll be seeing a Spieling Hydra. He still has a few Roaches as well, but oh, there's the Roach Warren. Okay, so we could see some Roach Hydra Spieling action here from TargA with his layer now in play. Another DT push coming out. Here we go. DT moving up here. Now we do have, oh gosh, this is so rough to see. There we go, gets a full surround, and the Queen will take care of it. So this is what TargA needed all along. You know, as soon as that DT stuff started happening, if he started placing down a few spores and spines, he would have been all set, but it just didn't work that way, man. It just did not work out that way. TargA will be delaying this expansion that Grubby is attempting to come out with. He's going to need to send an observer over here. There it is. So as soon as he takes care of that, we'll be able to place down his Nexus. Let's keep a close eye for any additional possible DT pushes or Overlord drops. A couple of Zerglings also moving here to help out. Two more Zealots get warped in, and he is all set. Loses the Stalker, but takes out the last of the Zerglings. Grubby is A-okay. He's really more than okay with a mothership in play. Oh gosh, why am I rhyming? Alright, so Grubby appears to be poised for an attack here, moving towards the one really heavily saturated base here for TargA. And this is a critical point for TargA to defend, of course, because this is pretty much all of his income right now. This center expansion pretty much mined out. He's got a little bit of S-beam that he can take from this extractor, but not much. And here comes the push. Need to defend this. This is critical, mission critical here. What is he gonna do? Where's his forces are just chilling out in the center of the map. He's trying to counterattack, I guess. Forfeits the expansion, decides instead he's going to move out with a counterattack, which we've got now not counterattacking. TargA, you're killing me here. Are you dropping? There you go, you're doing something. As long as he's doing something, I'm okay, but even that was not, he should have counterattack there. I mean, he forfeited that expansion. He did really not try to defend it. It's a very tough position to engage, of course, especially with the mothership can drop down to Vortex. I don't blame him necessarily for not engaging at that point. Choke points, sentries can kill you by splitting your army in half, you know. But still, a counterattack, at least a counterattack, seems like it would have been necessary there. Now he's got a large army, and he does appear to be mobilizing. Also has that army advantage. Take a look at the army size, 138 as opposed to just the 68 there. DT gets spotted and sniped out. Grubby scouts out this expansion spot. He will see whenever TargA decides to replace that hatchery down. For now, though, TargA just remote mining from over here.
Our forces are under attack.
And, oh boy. What an intense game so far, guys. Absolutely crazy. Working on now just getting close to 43 minutes in game time right now. Absolutely intense back and forth so far. Both players really in a tough spot. Grubby seems to have an advantage, although his army size is smaller, much smaller than TargA's right now. I'm saying he has an advantage because of this mothership filled with energy. Because we have, besides those Hydras, no anti-air. And Hydras are great, but they've got a relatively short range, and they're also fairly slow, especially off creep. So getting up under that mothership is close to impossible there if Grubby's paying enough attention. So with no Corruptor tech, he's going to have a hard time dealing with that. And the other big advantage that Grubby has, of course, is he's got all this mining going on right here. Lots and lots of economy coming from that, which is something that TargA does not have right now because he is still remote mining from this position. And we've got a DT right here in case TargA tries to pull a fast one and place a hatchery down in this spot. A couple of Zealots now going to cut off this remote mine line. Nope, no, here we go. There's the cavalry. Moves forward now with his army. Takes out the Zealot and the DT. However, there are still a couple of Zealots over here, so they decide to push back and queue themselves right back in a moment later. They're going to push back there and be right back in the action. And TargA, of course, has to keep most of his forces over here to defend this tech. He needs to make sure that he can still build things. And as time goes on, Grubby will steadily get a better and better advantage because he does have that stronger income. Much stronger income, as you can see. I mean, remote mining is almost useless. It provides a little trickle of economy, but very small. Grubby also moving up now with a Stalker. We'll be pushing back that Overlord, stop him from spreading that creep. Get a few static defenses over here for TargA, 4 spines and a few spores to spot any DT. And TargA still deciding he doesn't want to risk it by placing a hatchery down, although he could certainly use that income. Is way too concerned about having to defend this spot and that spot. Apparently, I mean, otherwise we would be seeing a hatch there. I'm almost surprised that he's not trying up here. This would be, I think, a bit easier to defend for TargA. Guarding this center spot and then able to just push towards here. That's pretty close. TargA now moving to the center of the map at the same time. Grubby pushing down over here and continuing to try to harass this attempt at remote mining, and TargA, I don't even know if he's got many workers left. Oh boy. 9 drones left, that is it. And he is going to change his remote mining position to up here in this spot. And we got Grubby with that strong economy still rolling here. I mean, it's kind of sucky, but stronger than what TargA has. And again, he still has that mothership. Let's take another look at the army size, see how much Grubby's managed to catch up. Now up to 88, also now with some feedbacks and storms. Lightening up TargA's army here. TargA's in such a tough spot right now. We'll be seeing an engagement eventually, and that's going to, of course, determine how this game rolls. More storms doing lots of damage to TargA's army. TargA cannot afford to take these losses. He's got no income. He can barely make anything else. Really cannot afford to take those losses to the storms. Should be keeping his forces further back, I think. No, it just seems unnecessarily dangerous for him to be here, and they just lost another queen. That could have helped. Some energy for transfuse, extra damage during the fight, you know, all those things. A couple of Zerglings will be bypassing the main force of Grubby over here, and it looks like they'll be moving up into the natural to try to do some damage. Spots that DT moving. DT really doesn't have many targets, though. He can try to, come in the back door and hit that, but obviously TargA is very close to engage. More storms coming through here from Grubby, continuing to thin up the numbers of TargA. And the DT will be moving up in this spot to cut off some more of these drones attempting to remote mine. Here comes the engagement right now. Moving forward with those roaches and hydras. Huge storms going down the bulk of the army. There's the vortex, and that hurt so much. We should be seeing those Archons move in before that finishes. And here's going to be a major Archon toilet. Let's see how this turns out for TargA. As soon as that pops, things get real. Alright, so the Archon's trying to do some damage. Wow, not nearly as effective as you saw. TargA was just able to overwhelm them. And he's going to continue to push forward now. Those Hydras picking off that mothership, and the Roaches taking care of most of those ground forces. We've got some Overseers over here to spot all those cloaked units, and he's doing a lot of damage. Grubby, his final engagement, what appears to be the final engagement, not going well for him. He is losing almost all of his forces. However, TargA's army very low in HP. Still has that mothership just barely hanging on. Able to push back TargA. TargA now with just a few more Hydras coming forward with those spine crawlers as well. Oh my gosh, this is so close. This is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely absurd. Couple of changelings pushing towards Grubby's army just to spot where he is, what he has. Now these spines and spores, a little frontal defense here. He will be taking out this Nexus. Grubby, however, has some mining going on right down over here, which again is something that TargA does not have. TargA's income is nothing right now. This DT killing off 8 workers, which were the final 8 that we saw from Grubby. Grubby, again, he's got this expansion mining right now, and he's, of course, still has all of these warp gates. He's still got his tech, so he's just going to continue to come up with more units, and TargA is just down to these 3 Hydras, and that is it. There's a storm. With those Archons and everything else, that is the last unit there. TargA has got nothing offensive. Couple Overlords and Overseers. He says, good game, well played, and what a game. Absolutely insane game here between TargA and Grubby. Thank you guys so much for watching. 50 minutes game time. Unreal. So much intense action, so much back and forth and harass from both of these players. Really a joy to watch and commentate as well. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. Stay tuned in the future for more gaming stuff and StarCraft stuff and all sorts of amazing content on my channel. Thanks again, guys. Keep watching and keep owning. Craziness, I tell ya.